Hey, what's going on YouTube? I wanted to take a look at a couple of castings here. With all this new stuff that Greenlight's been coming out with, let's slide this back just a little bit. So this is the Ford Mustang II Cobra 2, and this particular release, this was the first release of this casting. Has a rear tampoed taillight detail. It's a very nicely detailed car, much nicer in my opinion than the Johnny Lightning. Painted headlight detail. I don't think that they totally captured this car, but I think they did a nice job on it. And, you know, if I'm honest about it, I don't know that Greenlight truly captures a car most of the time. Most of the time, I would say they don't. But sometimes, so I'd say on average, they're pretty good. And then sometimes they're really, really good. And then every once in a while, they're pretty awful. Like an example of that is the 240Z. So, anyways, this is from Hollywood. I don't remember what series, but it's a Charlie's Angels release. And it is a pretty standard stock deco. So I think a pretty cool car. So that was the first one that came out. The second one that came out is a hobby exclusive. And this is the only hobby exclusive of this car. Now, there are a couple of different toolings or not different toolings, but a couple of different configurations. And the T-tops is one of them, but also the what I think are ground effects on the front bumper is another configuration, which this car here has that the first one didn't. So far, this car's been released 5 times. This one here is one of the nicer decos on this car. Very nice deco. Nice color. Nice wheels. So that one's pretty cool there. After that, it came out here as a black Bandit. There were a lot of quality issues with this car from this particular release, and I'm just saying that because I personally bought 2 of them, and both of them had major issues, and the issues were in the same area of the car. I did, if you saw the video that I opened this, I did bend this back a little bit. It scratched the paint a little bit, and there's a little bit of separation from the windshield, but overall I think it's acceptable enough to where it can stay into my collection. May replace it at some point, I don't know. All of these cars are nice rollers though, so that's a good thing. I don't really run into too many issues with Greenlights not rolling, but it is something that does happen. So there's the Black Bandit, which also has, it's the same configuration as the hobby exclusive with the ground effects in the front and the T-tops. And then after that, it came out in the latest Muscle series. I don't know what it is, but this, to me, might be the best looking as far as the deco goes. And this is configured like the first one from Hollywood with from the Charlie's Angels release, and it's basically the same deco but inverted. And it is a little bit different color blue. This is obviously a metallic blue, but I love the wheels and tires on this one. I think these wheels are different. They definitely have a different appearance. Let me see here. Yeah, they are totally different wheels. But other than that, it's the same. You know, it has the chin spoiler, the rear spoiler. But I think these wheels and tires look the best, and I just think this is a nice deco for the car. Here's the Charlie's Angels car next to it. So those are the first 4 releases. Of those 4, this one definitely my favorite. Might be my favorite of all of them. It's between that one and this one here, which is from the new Meachem Series 2, I think it is. And this is the same configuration as the Black Bandit and the hobby exclusive with the lowered front spoiler and the T-tops. Although this one has the T-tops on, and this is the only release that has that configuration on the roof of the car. I'm sure we'll see it again at some point, but as of the 5 that have been released, that's the only one. I really like the wheels on this one a lot too. These are the same wheels as the Charlie's Angel and also the hobby exclusive. Just a different deco than the Charlie's Angel, but actually it's the same deco as this one here. So that's one tooling that I wanted to take a look at. The other tooling, I think this one's going to be pretty popular, and I think the 5 of these that I have here are all 5 that have come out so far. I don't think I'm missing any, but I don't know for sure. And that is the Jeep tooling, which this one here is a 79 CJ5. And I'm pretty sure this was the first release of this. This one came out in the anniversary series. Excellent detail with, you have the plastic windows that are crinkled as they would be on a soft top. Nicely detailed wheels, although the chrome hides a lot of the detail. Like all Greenlight Jeeps, it has lensed headlights. There are 3 Jeep toolings, and only one of the 3 has lensed taillights. This is not that tooling, so these are just painted taillights. But these Jeeps are pretty awesome. The top is removable. They all seem to come with nice off-road tires. And some of these are released with the top and others are released without the top. So that's the first release. The second release, which might be my favorite, is another Charlie's Angels release. And this one here, what do we got here? This is a 1980 CJ5. So they didn't really change the body style, I don't think, too much, if at all. Now this one was released like this, no top. Every release of this casting, except one, so 4 of the 5 are released with a full-size rubber spare. And this one has the license plate action on it, which, now that I notice that, that's a different configuration than actually all of the other ones. No, 2 of them have the license plate configuration. 3 of them do not. It's interesting what Greenlight does with these castings. But I like this one. I think this one, it's possible this one is my favorite. Although I think there are a couple others that I like quite a bit. So after this one, the next release came from Black Bandit. Whenever Greenlight releases a new casting, it almost always comes out first in Black Bandit. If it's not first, it's usually second. But here's the Black Bandit. Now this came with the top, but I took the top off for now. And you can see the little attachment there on top of the windshield where the top attaches to. But I think the Black Bandit looks awesome without the top on it. Really cool looking Jeep. So all three Jeep toolings have been used in the Black Bandit series. One or two of them might have been used multiple times. So far this tooling has only been used once. Although I think it might be in the next one coming out. But it's a really cool tooling, as you can see. So that's the Black Bandit. Then after that, the next two pretty much came out at the same time, but I think this one might have been first because this is Meachem Series 2. So this is the same release as the red Mustang II. Now this is the top from the Black Bandit. You can see they're interchangeable. The only thing preventing me from snapping this on in the back is that where the holes would be for the little posts to go into, right behind the roll bar there, it looks like they've glued in. There's no hole there for it to go down. So in order for me to snug this up to it, I would have to remove that post. And I'm not gonna do that. So, but other than that, the top is interchangeable, and I think it looks pretty good with the top or without the top. The Black Bandit in particular, though, I really like the look without the top. But this one here is probably my favorite. Either this one or the Charlie's Angels. Now the newest tooling, I don't know if it's the newest tooling, but the tooling for the latest model Jeep Wrangler, which is I think 2010 to 2015, I've had a lot of issues with that tooling, having headlights falling out. With this tooling, I haven't had any issues with that yet, and also with the other Jeep tooling from the 1987 to 93 or 94, I think. I haven't had any issues with those ones falling out either. I think those are actually squared headlights on that tooling. But this is an awesome casting. I wish they would have done the gas can, though, like the actual car that sold at auction. And this is the only release of this tooling without the spare tire. This is modeled off of an actual CJ5 that sold at Meachem, and this is a 1974 CJ5. And then the last one, which came out around that same time, also a 1974 CJ5. This one's a little bit different. This is the Renegade. And I think it looks good. What I don't like about this one is these wheels. I don't know if I think it's a combination of the wheels with the white wall tire. Because these are the same wheels as the first Renegade that they brought out from the anniversary. Now the difference between these two, this is a 74, this is a 79. But you can see very little difference. So the license plate, which is part of the molding, really it looks like it's just the back end with the taillights. That's going to be the big difference between the two. One thing with the red one, the bumper mounted a little bit crooked. But they are the same tooling number, which is, if I can find my magnifying glass. Where did I put my magnifying glass? I may or may not be able to check the tooling number. It is very, very small. And I don't know where my magnifying glass went. It used to be right here. Anyways, that font is so small that I'm not going to be able to read that. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. It's at the bottom left corner of the base. I don't know if you can read that or not. But I'm fairly sure, I'm almost positive that these are casted from the same tooling, even though the back is clearly different. Everything else, I think, is pretty much the same. So it's kind of crazy. I've stayed a lot more current on these new toolings than I was planning on doing. Another new tooling from Greenlight that I think I'm caught up on is the Vandura. But yeah, here we have the Mustang IIs, and here we have the Jeep CJ5s. The Vandura has only been out in, well, it's been out in this deco, and then there was the white exclusive, there was the hobby shop, black Bandit, blue collar, and it's coming out again in the hobby shop. Which, as far as the photos go, that one I think is going to be my favorite based on that deco. It's a very late 70s colorway. But I also really like the weathered 18 van from the Hollywood Hitch and Tow, as seen on last night's video. So, and then the LLV, that one's only been released 3 times. I have 2. The only one I don't have is the plain white one. And since it's not licensed, I just don't feel like I don't feel like I want to get it. But anytime they release that with a licensed service, whether it's a postal service or anybody else that uses that vehicle, I would probably pick them up. I'm really looking forward to the Jeep, the male Jeep, the USPS Jeep that they're bringing out. That one's going to be awesome. I have most of the 240Z castings, but this is not a casting that I will collect every one because it's not a good casting. But I will say, of all of the variations of this car that I have, this one looks the best to me by far. And I think it has to do with the wheels and tires. This is the appropriate sized wheels and tires to be going on this car. I was looking at the other ones that I have, and the wheels and tires are just massive on them. Because I think they were more focused with this tooling on on the Baja Z, and so they were trying to design the casting to work with that configuration, and I think they were putting way too much emphasis on that, and in doing so, they totally compromised the look of the street version, which I think is unfortunate. And I'm glad that with the 510 we didn't have to worry about that. The 510 is another new tooling that I'm caught up on so far. That one has only come out 4 times so far. Came out 3 times in Tokyo Torque Series 2, and then it came out once in Black Bandit. The R34 I don't have all of because there are a lot of like tarmac releases and international releases that aren't available in the US. And it's not a casting I like enough to collect all of anyways. And honestly, I'm not like, it's not my plan to collect all of these. It just kind of worked out that way. I mean, if there was a tooling from Greenlight that you were going to go after and collect all of, you would really have to be aggressive because they release a lot of stuff and that would get expensive. So I would rather just focus on a variety of different castings. The 67 Camaro, I have all of these that have been released so far. And the reason for that is because this is the only one they've released so far. Probably not a casting that I will go after. But I will, you know, if it's a nice racing deco like this one, I'll grab it. Or, you know, when this comes out in a nice civilian deco, I'll grab that as well. You know, I wouldn't mind having one of these with a nice rear bumper and a nice civilian deco on it. But as they sit here, a couple of really cool little race cars. So it's a great brand to collect for sure. And even with all their imperfections, you have to hand it to Greenlight because there's no doubt about it. They are putting forth a great deal of effort to stay relevant in the hobby. Nobody is as aggressive. I don't even know if Mattel has been as aggressive as Greenlight when it comes to adding new toolings, new licensed toolings, I should say. It's easy for Mattel to add fantasy castings because it doesn't cost them any money for licensing. But Greenlight has gone after a lot of licenses with the Jeep CJ5. They did the R34 Skyline, the 510, and the 240Z. They went after the Mustang II licensing. They went after the Northrop Grumman LLV licensing, which is the mail truck there. They acquired the Vandura licensing. They got the Chevy panel. They got the Lincoln Continental. They got the Ford Falcon Interceptor. And this is just in the last like 12 months that these cars have come out. And I probably, just listing all of those off, I probably missed at least 4 or 5 new toolings, like the Pontiac Le Mans, the 77 Dodge Monaco. I mean, the list just goes on. They've been very, very aggressive, and they've been releasing some nice variations of those castings. But I think outside of the Brie 510, my favorite Greenlight release as of late is this one here. I was really happy to see this come out with a police deco. Contemplating locking that top on there with some glue. Anyways, As always, thanks for checking out the video. Leave your thoughts below. I'd love to hear what you all think of Greenlight. I know a lot of collectors have mixed feelings. And, you know, I'll be the first to admit that, you know, when it comes to quality control and detail and that kind of stuff, I will acknowledge that Auto World is definitely better. But Greenlight is still a very nice quality. I think Greenlight castings are much more scale accurate and they're much more accurately proportioned than Johnny Lightning castings. And, you know, they're the same price at retail. And as good as Johnny Lightning's selection is, Greenlight's is right there with it, in my opinion. So I think in 10 years, these are going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what, you know, a large collection of Greenlight cars look like. But with that, I'm going to wrap up the video. You guys have a good Sunday, and I will holler at the next video.